it's been a while since I last published a video. Um, I just laid on the beach for a couple of weeks, barely checking phone and emails, and it was good to get away from work. But I get back, work was just sitting there for me. So I've been working like 7 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. every day. So anyway, last Saturday, right after I came back from vacation, I played a local tournament. It was four full tables. It was a decent tournament. The problem was it played really deep because after like level 4 or 5, there was an add-on. The add-on was like 100K, and you started with like 50 or 60K. So it was just a lot of chips. So early on, it was actually the tournament was like a very important lesson about the variance of poker. You want to play more hands, so you have more opportunities, and then sometimes those hands backfire. So the first one of those was I had these two cards pretty early, 7-9 off, and I'm on the button. So the initial raiser was under the gun. He made like a 3x raise, and there was a couple other players before it got to me. So I decided I'll just call, and just evaluate on the flop. So we go into the flop with like four-handed, five-handed. So the flop comes out 10. No, it was 10-9-9. I got to switch out this card. So flop comes out 10-9-9. The initial raiser checks. And the guy that acted after him, he raised it. And now I'm happy. I have, seven of clubs, nine of hearts. I hit the 9. But I decide I'm just going to call here. I'm not going to go crazy. One, I just want to see how the hand plays out. I feel like I'm good, but maybe a straight comes out. Maybe I could get more chips from people if some better cards come out. So the one of the blinds calls and the initial raiser calls. So this go four-handed into the turn. The turn card was a queen of hearts. So now it's like as straight as out there. I'm not exactly happy about this hand, the card, but I'm still feeling good. So the blind checks, and the guy that had initially bet under the gun pre-flop, he raises it. He raises it like half the pot or whatever. The other guy who was in the hand calls again. All I do is I just call, and the blind calls. So four-handed, we go into the final card. Final card is a 7. Now I hit my boat. So I'm excited for this. And then the initial raiser, again, just bets again. Like he's not afraid of anything. And he checked the flop. So, I mean, what does he have? So, but it's a little bit of a concern, but not too much of a concern. The other guy calls. I go all in. This guy on the blinds, he goes all in, and the initial raiser goes all in. So 3 of us turn over our hands. I have the 7 and 9 for, a boat. The blinds had a 9-10 of diamonds. He had flopped the boat on his own. And the initial raiser had pocket queens, and he had, on the turn, had a boat. So 3 boats, and the guy, the best hand going in, wins the pot. And so that was it. So it was super early. So I just bought back in. Buying back in is super cheap, and the add-on hadn't happened yet. So from there, it starts to turn a little bit. So the next interesting hand was I was in the big blind. Had this crappy hand, 6-10 off, and it was checked me. It was like 4 or 5 players. It was just a freebie for me because no one raised. So flop comes out. Again, I messed it up. Should be the 10 of spades in there. So it's 3 spades. and I flopped, two pairs. So the guy who was on the, right after me, he must have been under the gun. He just decides to go all in on the spot. He had rebought already. He was smaller stack, but he still, had a decent amount of chips. But he's a wild player, very inconsistent. Sometimes he makes it far. He plays. I see him at every tournament, so he's a good experienced player. He goes all in. Everybody folds. I look at it. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna call because I have two pairs. This guy's wild. Where am I gonna go? So I turn over my two pair, and he turns over ace of spades, eight of clubs. He had the nut flush draw with ace of spades, so he needs to hit a spade, and he does not. And that gave me a good set of chips. So the tournament turned in such a way that I was able to play really well, and I built my stack up to about 300k and chips. And we got down to 2 tables. It wasn't even two full tables at that point. People were getting eliminated. This was pretty late. And this is the other really super interesting hand that that I debated and how I should do it. But so this was the hand I. Final 2 tables. They had broken up our table, my table, so we consolidated into 2 tables, and I think we had maybe 8 on our table, 7 on the other one. So I sat down, hadn't kind of learned how these guys played. The guy immediately to my right hadn't played a hand. I played about an orbit and change. He hadn't played any hands. So I was in the hijack. The button was after me, so, and I have these. But before that, there's a lot of action coming in. The 2 under the gun and the middle position player had limped in. I think blinds were 2,000, 4,000, or 1,000, 2,000, somewhere in that range. And the guy immediately to my right makes a big raise. I think he made it 14,000. Which was the appropriate bet considering, there's some limp person there. So he wants to thin out the hand. So he seemed strong to me. I like to play these kind of Broadway cards. I had king, queen off. Thought about calling. I debated for a while. If I was suited, I think I definitely would have called. Felt like I was behind his range there. Ace, king, ace, queen, or queens, or kings, or... Anyway, I decide to fold, and part of the reason was that there's still a lot of action behind me, so it could get raised again. So I will have to pay more just to see a flop, or I might have to fold for the flop, especially considering a couple of the limpers were relatively small stacked. I had almost 300k, 290k, so he made a 14. It's 5% of my chip stack, so I should see, but that 7-9 off before was still running in my head. So I decided to fold, and they all call him. So it was 4 players going into $14,000 each pot. It was like a decent pot. And as you would have guessed, the flop comes out ace jack 10. For me, it would have been flopped Broadway, the nuts. So it gets checked to the initial raiser. He makes a big bet. And the other 2 players who had called fold, but the guy to his right, he goes all in. This guy snap calls him. He's like all in. So they're both all in. They turn over. The first guy had 10 jack of hearts for 2 pairs. He flopped 2 pair. And this guy had 2 jacks, so he'd flopped the set. And I look at, it would have been a great hand for me to have stayed in. And it turned out the turn was an 8, 5. It would have cleaned. It was clean. I would have gotten a big stack. You never know. I mean, you can't be results oriented. Felt like it was questionable whether or not it was the right decision. In retrospect, I think it was probably the wrong decision. You should always err on the side of playing. I can always get away from it. The small amount of chips for me.
at the time. So and that was it. After that, just didn't get any cards for a long time. And finally, I played Kings, lost to Ace 4, Queens, lost to Ace 7. Each time an ace hit, and the second time 2 aces hit. So you just never know how these things go. But it was fun. I felt rusty. Hopefully, I'll get back to playing more frequently, and maybe maybe tonight I get to play. Today's Friday, so Friday night is a pretty decent game. It's a freeze out. It's my favorite kind. So we'll see how that goes if I can make it there.